Always great catching up with Mandel Nallo, who's got another big fight coming up, this time against Saad Awad at Bellator 249 on October 15th. Mandel, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to catch up with you. Glad to see you back in action. I know if people watched your last fight, kind of a gruesome injury there with the ankle rolling, and obviously, the fight ended up in a loss for you. What exactly happened in the fight? Like, I know you've had time to kind of look back in terms of the injury. I meant, what happened there with you hurting your ankle?
Yeah, it was the acute foot drop from your nerve getting hit in your leg. It's happened to a couple guys. Most recently it happened to Sean O'Malley in the UFC. And it's just one of those things, you really don't factor it in training. It happens so infrequently. And then when it does happen, why me? I remember when it happened to Michael Chandler. Who is he fighting? He's fighting
Brent Primus?
Brent Primus.
Yeah.
And I showed that fight to a bunch of people, and I was like, man, wouldn't this be terrible to lose like this? And then
it happened.
It had to happen to me. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, it happens. No, it sucked, and obviously a little bit gruesome to kind of watch on TV. But like you said, it does happen.
And it was like I was walking around, right after the fight, I was walking around the whole night. It was. The worst of it was that I had a swollen ankle from rolling it.
Oh, so you didn't? Oh, because I just assumed from seeing it that it was broken.
No, nothing was busted. Knee was fine. Ankle was just sprained. It was just it was fine.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that because, again, I'm not a doctor, and most people probably watching MMA.
It looked terrible.
Yeah, no.
Everybody in my corner was like, "Oh my God, his tibia's snapped in half or something crazy happened." But no. It was just an acute foot drop.
What sort of looking back on that fight, what did you take away the most from that one? It did end up as a loss in your record, but, how did you feel leading up to that point?
I felt good. I mean, in the fight, I was pretty confident in what I was doing. I think my main criticism of myself in that fight is that I was pretty happy with just kind of like taking slim rounds off the guy. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was doing enough to get a 10-9. I felt like round 2 I got taken down, so I needed to win round 3. But as long as I defended the takedown, I was going to get another 10-9. I was going to be up 2-1. So I was like, I'm just going to do this because I haven't had a full 15 minutes in there. I felt, cardio-wise fine, and nothing was really damaging. I mean, I did get hit by a few leg kicks, but I was willing to give those up for the pressure I was putting on. I guess hindsight is 20/20. So I think there were a lot. I think the biggest issue is that I didn't really factor in a lot of the ways that I could win. I was just kind of tunneled on, I'm just going to go 15 and win 2-1.
Right.
I was like, this is super safe. I don't have to stick my neck out there, to get a flashy knockout. I have those. Everybody knows I can do that. So I'm just going to get 15 minutes in here and avoid damage. And then look where that gets you. So
right.
you gotta be yourself at the end of the day.
Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to take any credit away from your opponent whatsoever, but do you feel like that was a loss just with what happened, or do you consider it more of like, hey, it was an injury, it happened? I know that's how Chandler felt about his fight with Brent Primus.
Yeah, I mean, really it doesn't matter because a loss is a loss.
Right.
But in my head, and I think that every fighter ought to think this way, is like, no, of course I win that more times than I lose that, for sure. And nobody practices to kick that nerve. Like, obviously they kick to do damage, but it's such a low percentage thing to have that injury happen. So he kicked me, I got injured, he won the fight, and he's very good too. But no, it's like when Chris Weidman beat Anderson Silva by checking his kick. Like, he can say all he wants that they practice to break the leg. Like, of course that's the goal when you check a kick, but really you just assume you're going to deter the guy from kicking your leg. It's not to break the guy's shin and win the fight off of that. So, and that's another eye-opening thing. It's like, fighting is fighting. I've seen a guy, I think he blocked a punch, but his finger got snapped back, and that totally took him out of the fight, and he just, he couldn't get his head back into it, and that lost him the fight. Like, there's so much stuff that can go wrong. You just need to I think you got to be okay with that. That's fighting.
Right. No, absolutely. Very, very well said there. When did you actually get back to training after that? You said it wasn't broken, so I imagine pretty soon.
Yeah, like just do the kind of standard stuff of hanging out with your family or whatever, and then you get the itch pretty quick to just get back in the gym. And then the world falls apart, and you gotta.
Yeah, no, I know it's been kind of crazy. I was actually going to ask you about that because I know you were sort of splitting time between Toronto and Montreal. Where are you actually staying right now?
I'm in Montreal currently,
Okay.
And I have been for the past little while. But yeah, I still split my time because my family is in Toronto. Mm-hmm. But whenever there's fight news or just I feel like I want to get back to Montreal, I have a place here, and TriStar is to me the place in Canada to get the best training. So yeah, it is my home gym.
No, absolutely. Were you looking to fight a little bit sooner? Like there was a lot of uncertainty with COVID, so no one really knew when they were going to fight. Was this sort of what you were expecting, or when you were expecting to fight?
I mean, if you take my career over the past 3 years,
that's true. Yeah, you're kind of like a once every. Yeah, not by choice, obviously. Yeah.
No, but I mean, so it's kind of funny. Like right around spring, like early spring, is when I was looking to get back in, and then I ended up just having to go home because everything was locked down, and and then it was just kind of touch and go. Like if I'd gotten a call, I was telling all my friends like it's a good time to get a fight. Early days of the lockdown, just because nobody knew what was going on, and like if you can stay active. I mean, look at some of the guys. Bobby Green is a good example of a guy who's just like managed to stay active through the quarantine, and he's up 3 wins. And that's a guy who maybe if everything isn't shut down, different people get those opportunities because they can travel or whatever. So it was a good time to get fights, but it's all good. I mean, fighting once a year is fine.
No, it's true. I know financially, though, it can be a little bit tough. How did you get through that? Because it'll be, I think, a full year since you stepped in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, I've never... The way I think about it is I can live off of so little that it doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to fight for free. Obviously, that's ridiculous. And I want to fight for what I am worth. But I don't just fight for money. I'm doing this to be the best guy in the world. So if I was doing this for a paycheck, I wouldn't be doing it. So I'm in a position where I'm okay.
Good. Yeah. No, I know. It's not like you strike me as a guy who's like living a lavish lifestyle anyways, which is fine. I think it's, there's a lot of stuff we waste money on. So There you go. Saad Awad, this is a big fight, big name in your career and an experienced opponent. I'm here. I'm looking at the 23-13 record. I'm sure you were very familiar with him when you accepted this fight. What do you think about the style matchup?
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. I think it's one that people have seen a few times over the years of like, a guy with a ton of experience versus a relative unknown. And those go, one of two ways, right? It's all just, I think it's to my benefit. It's one of those things where he has 40 plus fights. So to a degree, I kind of know his style. I know what he does. To me, he's easier to study up on than somebody like me. So, or even my last opponent, I really didn't know much about him. I knew he was a good fighter. That's it. And this guy's a good fighter too, but I just have a little more information. So that's always a plus, I think. Yeah,
for sure. And yeah, your last opponent, he had a couple fights in LFA, but most of them were in Brazil, I think, like outside of that. So it would have been tough to find footage on him and everything. So now this is where I'm very curious. What type of training camp have you had? Because I talked to Andrew Sanchez maybe a couple months ago before his last fight, and he said he wasn't even really going to the gym that much, just because a lot of stuff's sort of on lockdown. And I know, especially in Quebec, things are on lockdown too. What type of camp have you had?
So gyms have been open now in Quebec for a while. So the camp's felt pretty good, honestly. Plenty of guys to emulate my opponent's style, and it's really no different. I mean, because I've been here for so long. When the gym opened back up, it's just me and my friends here, anyways. So,
right.
And there are droughts in as far as training partners go in a normal year. You know, sometimes you come into sparring and there are like 6 people, and sometimes there's 30 people. So, you know, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I'm just doing my job, having fun in the gym.
Who have you got to work with, though, as far as bodies? You mentioned your friends. Who are some of the guys you get to work with?
The staples: Louis Sanoudakis, Ayman Zahabi, Arnold Allen, Andrew Sanchez. There's just all the TriStar classics.
Okay, that's good. Any update on Louis? I know he's with Brave, but obviously I'm sure he's having some issues, maybe fighting overseas, just with the restrictions. Is any update on him?
Yeah, he's kind of in that situation where he's ready. He's ready to do it, and he's just looking to fight, and it's tough.
Yeah,
because while it is a good time to get fights, it's like it still has to make sense. I'm not trying to fly to whatever. I'm not trying to fly 16 hours to get paid $1,000 to fight a killer, right? Like, it's got to make sense as well as be something that I can do. Like, he's in shape, he's ready to go, but he's not trying to like lose a bunch of money on a training camp or anything.
Absolutely.
Like that,
No, I totally get it there. And you mentioned Andrew Sanchez. I did as well. How cool was that seeing him get that win? Because, Andrew's one of those guys where, we know the talent level. It's just a matter of putting it together in the cage. And I know since he's been with you guys, things have really skyrocketed as far as his skill set. It must have been cool as a teammate to see him get that win.
Yeah, it's like Andrew's, when he came, he's just a wrestler, right? And he's always had this perception of himself and his style where he thinks, people don't think I'm dangerous, so it's, I have some like negative connotation around my career. But I told him, like, as a guy who's not known as a wrestler, like, everybody hates fighting wrestlers,
Right.
So it was all kind of self-constructed. So, but to see him kind of squash that reputation and get a nice KO, he was on cloud nine, and the whole gym was as well.
I think it was the mullet, which really helped
possibly.
him too. Yeah,
he's
becoming more Canadian. I think that's sort of like a Canadian thing, is the mullet. Like, Tanner Bozer's got one.
He's just grimy. He would have had that hairstyle no matter where he was.
Okay, fair enough. How's the weight cut going? Because I know, you're used to fighting like not that often, but I know as you get older, it can be a little bit tougher to shed those pounds. So how's the cut going ahead of this fight?
I think that's a myth. I think
okay.
Yeah, the get older thing, I don't believe it. I think younger guys are stupider, so they probably have a harder time cutting weight. Like,
right.
Like, honestly, it's not a factor. For me, I just go, oh, okay, I'm supposed to fight this date. I make weight every single time without issue. So I know some people fight bigger than me, and maybe that's what's going on. But when I was younger, I definitely had a harder time making weight just because you mess around too much, probably.
Well, you can eat anything, right? And your metabolism just, takes care of it. But now it's like your metabolism slows as you get a bit older. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. I'm getting old here. That's what I'm sort of getting at. But your corner for this fight, is Faraz going to be in the cage with you that night? Who's going to be there with you?
Faraz is going to be there, and then my friend Steve Sims, who was a pioneer of the Canadian MMA scene, as far as I'm concerned, one of the lost greats.
Okay, that's great.
Since retired, but he had a 5-1 record before he retired.
Head kick knockout. How do you see this one playing out? That's usually your signature thing.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. It's the kind of thing leading up to a fight. You're always thinking like, or at least when you close your eyes, you're always thinking, oh, I'm going to finish this way. I'm going to finish this way. You just kind of let it happen. I have said many times I have that big knee knockout. I've never practiced a knee in my life on pads or on the bag or nothing. Like, it just comes out. So, try to stay creative, and I'll see what happens on the 15th.
And not looking past October 15th, but you want to get a fight closer to the last one, or do you kind of like the schedule that you're on?
No, honestly, I want to fight soon after. If maybe
before the end of the year, or are you thinking more 2021?
Yeah. I think December. If we could make that happen, that would be fun. But we'll see. We'll see what my family says and all this stuff. This year's been a little bit crazy, and I owe them some time as well. But definitely not another year.
What do you think about all the signings they've got? I don't know if you saw today, Brett Johns is coming over from the UFC. They signed a couple Canadians too. Jeremy Kennedy is now, on the roster too, which is awesome. Josh Hill's there now. It's been cool to see, because I know for the longest time they weren't really picking up a lot of Canadians, but now it seems like they're really ramping that up. And hopefully when COVID's over, we'll get another show in Canada. May 2014 was the last show they had there.
That is crazy. I thought, when me and Rory were on the roster, and I was doing well, I thought that would have been a fun card to put in Toronto or Montreal. Mm-hmm. Rory headlining and me on the co-main or something. But yeah, I mean, it's great. Now is the time. I don't know what happened over the past 3 years, but new talent was just kind of floating around and having to go to wherever they could to find a fight. What are people doing? Hire these guys. They're good. What do you think is going to happen in 5 years? These are going to be your superstars. So yeah, I'm glad that all these guys are getting signed. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I was going to ask you too, just talking about camp. Have you been seeing George St Pierre at all? Has he been in the gym? Because I know there's always these rumblings about him coming back. I was just, mm-hmm. Because I know obviously you're good friends with him. Yeah,
George is always training. Mm-hmm. But right now I think he's working on other stuff. I think George could come back any day and be the man. He's still my favorite fighter, and I still think he's had the best MMA career of all time. But as far as right now, I think he's just enjoying his life.
And he's doing commercials. I saw that one a couple months ago. He was doing that. Was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly, as he should. He's got a big brand. Why not utilize that, right?
It's perfect. I'm so happy.
Now, of course, we couldn't get out of this interview without talking some video games. Are you playing any retro games? I got to know, because I'll tell you right now, this is kind of, I consider it a retro game because it's N64. I've been going back and going through Diddy Kong Racing on the N64. Did you ever play that one?
I did. I remember playing it with my brother when I must have been 12 or something.
Okay, I didn't know this. I just found this out recently because I never beat the game as a kid. Because I used to do the adventure mode. So I beat the game and I was all as an adult and I felt very accomplished. And then I realized you have to do the worlds over again in reverse, the tracks are reversed. I was so disappointed. I couldn't believe it.
That is pretty disappointing. I'm not a big racing game guy. I feel like I'm bad at it, I guess.
They're tough. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. For me, it just never stuck with me as something that I wanted to get good at. That and shooters, I'm just I don't see the fun. But I think it's a great time for retro gaming, because not only because a bunch of indie producers are heavily influenced by retro games and they do some great stuff. There's a Toronto studio that made Cuphead, which was made a big splash.
I got to check that out. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and then. Also, they're re-releasing, they just remastered Mario 64, right? So that's
I saw that
cool.
On the Switch, yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing a lot of fun stuff for people who like that retro flair.
Well, because we're all old now. A lot of us are older, and we used to play that growing up. So it's good that they're bringing it back, because it's I forgot about that game.
And all the kids just want to play, I don't know, Fortnite or Fall Guys or whatever.
Yeah, I like the old stuff because it's simple to play, right? It's you can pick up a Mario 64 or
exactly.
Contra or whatever, and
they're a little more intuitive than something like Fortnite.
Yeah, you got to invest a lot of time into that. Are you playing any games right now? Do you have any classic systems or anything?
I just play League of Legends to waste time between trainings, really.
Okay.
But no, nothing. I don't have a console. I'm thinking maybe I'll get a PS5. Maybe.
Yeah.
I got a baby now. I'm not trying.
Oh, when did you become a dad? I didn't know this.
A year ago.
Oh, see, this is what I didn't even know this. So that's great. How old? Boy, girl?
He's a boy.
Boy?
Yeah, he just turned 1.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
I
had no idea. You can see you're not on social media. Rat Garbage on Instagram, by the way, hasn't been updated, I think, since July, and it's just artwork and stuff, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're smart, though, man. A lot of us, we got to get off social media. It's kind of ruining our lives, making us too dependent on it. So I think you got the right idea there.
This lockdown, man. People are going nuts.
Yeah. How is fatherhood treating you, man? Because for everyone, it's different. I got a 3-year-old at home, so it's been cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff people tell you that I didn't feel. As far as your whole life changes. My life's pretty much the same outside of being a dad.
Right.
It's fun though, and it's very cool to spend time on something that actually is worthwhile. Because before you have a kid, you could waste 4 hours a day doing bullshit. Whereas now, those 4 hours are going into a huge investment of time that's going to hopefully pay off. Maybe you'll be a billionaire or something. I can
No,
sleep on
no,
this
no.
couch.
It's true because then they, you shape them, so to speak. So it's kind of neat
Yeah,
to see that.
exactly.
Like for me, the only time I get any video game time is if after my son goes to bed, I get like an hour, and then maybe not even an hour, maybe half an hour, play a little bit, and then go to bed because I got to get my 8 hours. Right, that stuff's
Yeah,
important.
exactly.
So, you know what I'm talking about. So there you go.
For sure. Yeah, I think every parent does.
Yeah, it's great. Mandel, so great catching up with you, man. Always a pleasure. Really looking forward to this fight. October 15th, Bellator 249. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors you want to get out there? Anything you want to plug? I'll give you the last word.
I'll just plug TriStar Gym. Come train. We're open. And
Nice. That should be their new slogan. Train, we're open. Yeah.
For now. And yeah, just my training partners. They really, this is a job where if you're not having fun every day in training, then it would really suck to do. So I just appreciate all the guys that are in the gym every day, and Faraz and the coaches and everybody.